Hey everyone, Yandere123 here. Today we get another one of her replay casts. Today she's playing actually one of her own. It's actually one of her own replays. Today she is playing in the tier 10 aircraft carrier, the Hellcarrier, or rather actually it's tier 7 in this game mode, but it is the Hakuryu, exactly the same as the normal one available in the tech tree in the normal battle. Now, today she's playing with this the space mode and in a division with a Zeo played by Strefs and All Destroyer Roskurfus played by Mirsky in a division together. Opening up, she's launching a very heavy torpedo bomber set, which honestly in this case she's making a mistake. Yandere should have launched the fighters first in a disruptive launch against the opponent team, who is in this case spawning up in the top left corner, pretty much exactly parallel to us if we and it's rather symmetrical map if we look at this kind of middle line. Cap, rather central. Some of these islands have been rebalanced to make them a little bit more balanced in terms of the cap, although Charlie is still a bit of a mess. And of course the enemy team also spawned in an equal blob just like ours, meaning that any kind of early game strike is generally not going to happen. And I don't think she's actually noticed at this point, but just sending the planes down the middle of the map, and I think this is about the point where it dawned upon her that the enemy team is also going to be spawning equally blob, which does mean that she needs to bring her aircraft all the way around to the back end of the enemy fleet to be able to attack their battleships. Now, fighters are starting to come online and the dive bombers are being deployed. You can see some of them are being deployed into early warning scout positions, generally not finding it too useful to have them do anything else at the start of the match, like this if the enemy team is going to be blobbing up. Enemy fighters are coming along the middle of the map right now, so Yandere123, she is deploying her fighters to try to cut them off. Looks like she's going to take a bit of an awkward head-on strafe and fails to get the counter-strafing and also the side strafing there, as the enemy aircraft carrier does make the initial aggressive play first. However, she does bait out a disengaged strafe. However, this does mean that her other squadron is not able to be microed out of the way on time, and this means that it does bleed some aircraft. However, the panic mode and the fact that the opponent aircraft carrier wants to do more silly looking strafings does mean that she does get the better end of the total fighter trade, having shot down 8 for currently loss of 6, and it's unlikely that she's going to lose any more fighters out of this engagement, even though at this point, number 3 squadron, the high health squadron, is low on ammo, and the high ammo squadron is low on health. Well, models, in this case. However, the enemy aircraft carrier has been reduced significantly enough to the point where his fighters are completely unable to stop my current drone being sent around the map to hit the enemy all-destroyer in the back. Hopefully, the enemy all-destroyer will not have noticed that the Yandere123 is coming in with her torpedo bombers to try to drop from behind. However, figuring that there's a lot of anti-aircraft nearby here, Yandere123 doesn't really want to stick around, so commits a bit of a bad-looking, awkward-looking drop. However, it's still good enough to deal some decent amount of damage to the enemy all-destroyer, who currently, despite having not being shot at, does not actually appear to have a damage control party available, or does not want to use the damage control party. At this point, more keen on letting the flooding tick, something that Yandere123 has taken a bit of notice for and is currently not exactly sure, but has not yet realized that this guy is actually not using the damage control party specifically to reduce the amount of bleed from fire damage, and fire damage that definitely will be as 3 fires. I do drop them slightly staggered so that they don't hit the exact same area on the ship. 3 fires for 7 hits. However, the damage control party comes in there, and only 65,000 damage is dealt through this strike. However, the flooding definitely did tick for quite a bit, and we even almost managed to get our torpedo bombers to hit the Paris, although, I mean, it would have been additional bonus damage, but I don't think Yandere123 really, I don't think she lost too much from not picking that damage up. Now, she spots an all-destroyer on the western side of the map, this time coming through the back, and the awkward thing about the ships inside of the side field is that, well, it's not that easy to spot them and whatnot, at least if the game kind of works according to its own description. Also have an Aurora, the Moskva heading down along, but we should have on the allied team here enough forces to kind of put a threat to this and make it difficult for them to push through. Otherwise, aircraft are now cycling. The initial strike didn't go as well as expected, However, considering that the blobs were definitely in place, it's kind of useful that some attack damage did come in, although the majority of this can be healed back due to the rather awkward initial torpedo bomber strike. Otherwise, fighters are being deployed to their defensive position, still missing an enemy destroyer, although in this case the Kurfürst there is a part of that division, so it's a good chance that these two guys are working together. However, launching fighters on the eastern side just to cover up this side, and of course another one held somewhat central, with the rest of my strike being deployed to attack this whole destroyer. Enemy fighter does show up over there, should realize that there potentially is a strike coming in there. Although with the way the map, the noise and whatnot, and the more priority and pressing concern is to stack up strike, attack the old destroyer, and look for the enemy's fly fire. So I definitely think that the under 1 to 3 in this case, she could have done a little bit better in kind of trying to predict what the opponent aircraft carrier is going to do. Chances are the opponent aircraft carrier is going to try to attack the stuff on the west. This is where the battleships are, instead of where the cruisers and the anti-air and the defensives are. So, in this case, heading towards the old destroyer with her torpedo bombers, Gunner 123 looks like she's lining up for an attack. And again, she's attempting to attack from the side that the opponent is likely not to be watching. However, in this case, these guys could be on communications with each other on TS, and it is alerting the guy that they probably are torpedo bombers. However, no reaction comes in early enough as the enemy torpedo bombers start appearing, and his strike starts appearing. However, our strike actually fails to commit because of the fact you cannot click on an existing order, and being way too slow with the reaction on the strike. No actual communication appears to have come off TS about the strike, or I didn't pay attention to this as they come. So, well, in this case, the enemy aircraft carrier does pick up the Paris, which is unfortunate for us, as of course that is a ship that is now lost, and of course a bit of an awkward strafing from the under 1 to 3. She does miss the majority of the strike, and the plane in this case does circle a little bit too far away from where the aircraft is needed, meaning that in this case the panic kind of may come in a little bit on the later end. However, only one plane, you don't panic that anyways. More stuff is coming in, going to ensure that this gets properly intercepted in this case, going for the really weird looking strafing. However, this should be a squad wipe for Mirsky, so that's reduced damage need there. And of course need to come in, stack up the dive bombers now that we know where, of course, our opponent destroyed that we were hunting for is. And we're going to tag, just basically tag the enemy's fighter. He cannot hit on strafe, otherwise there's a chance he would have strafed his own dive bomber away. So I'm just going to attack that and go for the dive bomber drop on the old destroyer. Unfortunately, only one fire. So I'm going to drop the second one to attempt to get more fires on him. And there you go, 2 fires on that. However, Mirsky is incredibly low HP at this point. Going to go for the tag on the opponent fighter there as well, and then give another strafing on top of it. However, it doesn't seem to commit properly, and looks like he's doing some more stupid looking strafings. However, with all of my stuff now being out of ammo, it's up to Mirsky to live long enough to try to deal some additional damage to that. And of course, hopefully also pick up the kill on the enemy's old destroyer. While in the meantime, in this case, I'm sending an empty fighter over to look for the gearings and of course the torpedoes, but we spot that right now, so that's not a big deal. And of course we know that, the general location of that target. However, Mirsky is really low HP at this point, and is unlikely to survive the onslaught from the enemy's Aurora coming in on the western flank, and there she goes. However, in this case, well, I don't really need this dive bomber, so I definitely think that this dive bomber is kind of a pointless send over here. Really just should have been sent back to base to cycle, because in this case 3 torpedo bombers should be more than enough to eventually find this flyfire, who probably was heading further south to look for the carrier. Now with the fighters kind of cycling and the rest of the stuff kind of circling around, this dive bomber should have been sent home, but in this case it doesn't look like under 1 to 3 she's paid attention to that. More focused on trying to line up a decent drop. These US destroyers are still maneuverable enough that they can kind of, to an extent, avoid torpedo bombers. Number 4 squadron should be sent up here. It should have been kept up there to get follow-up strike from this side of the ship. And there you go. Both of the attacks are being committed onto the side, although number 4 squadron does decide to circle, which is a little bit awkward, although one of the rear torpedoes does actually find their mark on the flyfire. The front one does come in, and there you go, additional hits, but saturation on the bow means that the target does not immediately go down. However, there is a small chance that the flooding damage over time might actually solve the problem. In the meantime, fighters are being ordered to take off, however, they are not on time to actually defend the east top right side of the map. You don't actually get anti-aircraft warnings when your planes come under attack by aircraft, which is something really, really awkward, and I know that Yandere Wants to struggled with this during the playing of this, not really knowing when her aircraft was coming under attack or not. However, at this point, while the Allied team does have a bit of a points advantage, the opponent team is now actually pushed through the western side of the map, and they now hold double capture point advantage. So it really is going to be up to Yandere 1 to 3, and of course, the team start getting the kills in, start getting the damage in, and destroy the enemy as they push through. Because they are still behind on points, they need to get kills, they cannot delay. Their fleet is rather low HP, so they need to try to get some aggressive kills in if they can, because if they're just going to try to play the kiting game, chances are they're going to lose over the long course of the game. Turns out one of our flyfires is a traitorous heretic and sinks an allied galaxy, which could actually turn out to be awkward as, again, the points need to start becoming, pulled back in our favor as we do not have the capture advantage. However, enemy Aurora goes down and I'm going to come in with these dive bombers and click the Paris. Unfortunately, Yandere 1 to 3 only picks up 3 hits in this case, no 5, which is a little bit awkward as the damage output really was meek from that drop. However, now that Zeo does pick up the kill, and Strefs is going to help out with some of the fighters, picking up a few kills, as in this case, it's in the Yandere 1 to 3 is just picking up these torpedo bombers as they come in one by one piecemeal. Doesn't look like the opponent fighter is interested in trying to intercept the strike, which does kind of to an extent make sense, because intercepting the strike at that point would mean that the opponent aircraft carrier's own strike would be kind of just hung out to dry. Torpedo bombers are being launched to head towards the old destroyer in the central areas of the map, while Yandere 1 to 3 move the carrier. She's kind of heading up the towards the north on the eastern side of the map right now, nowhere really better to go, and just going to go for auto attacks against the remaining defensive fighter here near the opponent's old destroyer, trying to just ensure that there's a higher chance of the strike getting through. However, a 3-plane fighter squadron, well, its head-on strafing capacity is really, really weak, so it's going to order it to fly right through in case the enemy carrier tries to do any kind of defense with that, and a little bit of a rush drop. However, the damage output should be sufficient to pick up the kill, and there goes the enemy's old destroyer, picking up her second kill of the game, 180,000 damage. This is not too bad of a result overall, and the enemy aircraft carrier has now been deplaned of their fighters, most likely, which means that, well, Yandere 1 to 3 should have the advantage and the ability to just freely strafe away the opponent aircraft carrier stuff for the remainder of the game. Enemy aircraft carrier does appear to have given up on the game. You can see that just feeding things in piecemeal, not actually trying anything at all. With the Allied Flyfire now entering the northwestern Cap Alpha and the enemy Aurora going down, the game has been secured in our favor. This area of space has been captured for the glory of the... I don't even know. Regardless, little PSA, officially, I am now an aircraft carrier, and I would appreciate if you referred to me as such. So call me aircraft carrier, or refer to me as, well, whatever you would feel appropriate to refer to an aircraft carrier. I hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast. It's rare for me to post replays from Yandere 1 to 3 herself, but in this case, I decided that this game was interesting enough, and with the 1st of April World of Warships Spaceships mode, I definitely decided I should give it a try and to post it for you guys to enjoy. Truly hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day, take care, and I will catch you guys in the next one.